My father-in-law died 3 weeks ago. At his funeral, my wife cried into another man's shoulder. Not mine. I didn't recognize him. Tall, silver hair, expensive suit that didn't quite fit the small-town church. When I asked her who he was, she said, just an old family friend. She was lying. And by the time I figured out why, it was already too late to save anything. For the last 9 years, I thought I was building a life with the woman I loved. Turns out, I was just living in someone else's story. And I didn't even have a speaking part. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you were living in someone else's story? Like the people closest to you were hiding something you couldn't quite name? If that feeling resonates with you, hit the subscribe button right now. Because every week, I tell stories about the secrets people keep. The lies that destroy marriages. The truths that come too late. And if you've made it this far, you already know this story is going somewhere dark. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Now, let me tell you about the day I met Rebecca. Rebecca and I met in graduate school. Northwestern. She was studying architecture, I was in engineering. Classic story. Study group turned into coffee dates turned into weekend trips to her family's lake house in Wisconsin. Her father, William Harrison, owned Harrison Manufacturing. Industrial parts. Nothing glamorous, but profitable enough to keep Rebecca in private schools and summer trips to Europe. When we got engaged, William pulled me aside at the rehearsal dinner. "You seem like a good man, David," he said, pouring us both scotch. "But I need to know you love her for the right reasons." I told him the truth. That I'd marry Rebecca if she worked at a gas station. He smiled. Clinked my glass. Good. Because money changes people. And I've seen what it does to marriages. At the time, I thought he was warning me. Turns out, he was warning himself. The first 8 years were good. Really good. We moved to Portland. Bought a Craftsman in Laurelhurst that needed work. Spent weekends tearing out carpet and painting trim. Rebecca got a job at a mid-size firm. I worked at Intel. Nothing exciting. But solid. Safe. Her father visited twice a year. Christmas and 4th of July. Always brought expensive wine and asked about grandchildren. "We're not ready yet," Rebecca would say, and he'd nod, understanding. But I caught him looking at her sometimes with this expression I couldn't quite read. Sadness, maybe. Or regret. I asked Rebecca about it once. "He's just getting older," she said. Thinking about legacy. William was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in January. Stage 4. 6 months, maybe less. Rebecca flew back to Wisconsin every other weekend. I came when I could, but someone had to keep working. Those months changed her. She'd come home from the airport quiet. Distant. Spending hours on the phone with the estate lawyer. "There's so much to sort out," she'd explain. The company. The properties. His investments. I tried to be supportive. Made her tea. Rubbed her shoulders. Didn't push when she said she was too tired to talk. But looking back now, I can see I was already losing her. She just hadn't told me yet. William died on a Tuesday in March. The funeral was Saturday. Small town church. Maybe 200 people. I stood next to Rebecca in the front pew. Her mother on her other side. Patricia Harrison, elegant even in grief, dabbing her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. The eulogy was nice. Standard stuff about a man who built a business, loved his family, gave to his community. What they didn't mention was that William Harrison was also a man who kept secrets. Big ones. And when those secrets came out, they didn't just bury him. They buried my marriage too. After the service, there was a reception at the Harrison house. The kind of house you see in magazines. 10 acres on a lake. Wraparound porch. Tennis court nobody used. I was in the kitchen getting Rebecca a glass of water when I saw her through the window. She was standing on the dock. Crying. And she wasn't alone. A man stood next to her. Tall, maybe 55, with silver hair swept back from his face. Navy suit. Italian leather shoes. His hand was on her back. Not aggressive. Not sexual. Protective. Like he'd done it 1,000 times before. I watched as Rebecca leaned into him. As he said something that made her nod. As she wiped her tears and looked up at him with an expression I'd seen before. The same expression she used to give me when we first met. Trust. Relief. Intimacy. They stood there for maybe 3 minutes. Then Patricia called from the house and they walked back separately. Him first. Then Rebecca 30 seconds later. Like they'd planned it. At dinner that night, just family, Patricia introduced him. "David, this is Malcolm Sterling. He was William's business partner for many years." Malcolm shook my hand. Firm grip. Warm smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I've heard wonderful things about you," he said. "Funny," I replied. "Rebecca's never mentioned you." Something flickered across his face. "Rebecca's too." Malcolm moved to California in 2005, Patricia explained smoothly. Before you and Rebecca met. But he and William stayed close. Very close, Malcolm added, looking at Rebecca. She looked away. That night in the hotel, I asked Rebecca about him. Who was that guy? Malcolm? She was brushing her teeth, back to me. I told you. Dad's old business partner. You were crying on his shoulder at the dock. Her hand stilled. Then continued brushing. I was crying because my father just died, David. I know. I'm just asking why you didn't come to me. She spat into the sink. Rinsed her mouth. Met my eyes in the mirror. Because you didn't know him like Malcolm did. The way she said his name. Malcolm. Soft. Familiar. Like a door I wasn't allowed through. How well did Malcolm know him? They were in business together for 15 years. They were close. And you? And me what? How close are you and Malcolm? She turned off the water. Turned to face me. Are you seriously starting this right now? At my father's funeral? I'm not starting anything. I'm asking a question. The answer is he's a family friend. That's it. She climbed into bed. Turned off her lamp. Good night, David. Conversation over. I lay awake for hours that night. Replaying the dock scene in my head. The way Malcolm's hand rested on her back. The way she leaned into him. 9 years of marriage, and I knew my wife's body language. That wasn't grief. That was comfort from someone who'd given it before. The will reading was Monday morning. William's lawyer, Gerald Fisher, was old school. Leather-bound folders. Fountain pen. Reading glasses on a chain. Present in the room, Patricia, Rebecca, Rebecca's brother James, Malcolm Sterling, and me. 5 people for one dead man's estate. Fisher cleared his throat and began. William Harrison's estate, as of the date of his death, is valued at approximately $47 million, including the manufacturing company, real estate holdings, investment portfolios, and personal assets. Rebecca reached for my hand. I squeezed back. Fisher continued. To my wife, Patricia, I leave the family home, the lake property, and a trust fund of $10 million, to be managed by. He went on. Patricia nodded. Expected. To my son, James, I leave 30% ownership of Harrison Manufacturing, plus $5 million in liquid assets. James shifted in his seat. Also expected. To my daughter, Rebecca. Rebecca sat up straighter. I leave 30% ownership of Harrison Manufacturing, the Portland investment property, and $5 million in liquid assets. Rebecca exhaled. I felt her relief. But Fisher wasn't done. The remaining 40% ownership of Harrison Manufacturing, the California properties, and $7 million in liquid assets, I leave to Malcolm Sterling. Silence. Rebecca's hand went rigid in mine. I'm sorry, James said. Did you just say Malcolm gets 40%? Fisher looked up over his glasses. That's correct. Mr. Sterling receives the controlling stake in the company. But he's not family, James said. No, he's not. Patricia sat perfectly still. Face blank. I looked at Malcolm. He wasn't surprised. He already knew. After the meeting, James exploded. This is insane. Dad left some random business partner more than his own children. Patricia put a hand on his arm. Your father had his reasons. What reasons? What possible? Malcolm helped build that company. Your father wanted to make sure it stayed in capable hands. I'm capable, James said. Rebecca's capable. We're his goddamn children. Rebecca hadn't said a word. Just stared at the floor. I touched her shoulder. You okay? She flinched. Like I'd burned her. I need some air. She walked out of the conference room. Malcolm followed her. I waited 60 seconds. Then followed them both. They were in the parking garage. 3rd level. By Malcolm's black Mercedes. I stayed behind a concrete pillar. Close enough to hear. I didn't know he was going to do this, Malcolm was saying. I told him it would look suspicious. 40%, Rebecca said. Her voice shaking. He gave you controlling interest. Rebecca. Everyone's going to ask questions, Malcolm. My mother. James. David. There it was. My name. In a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. Let them ask, Malcolm said. The will is legal. Your father made sure of that. But why? Why would he? You know why. Silence. Then Rebecca's voice, barely a whisper. Does she know? Your mother? No. And it needs to stay that way. This is going to destroy her. Only if the truth comes out. And it won't. Not from me. Not from you. Another silence. Then Malcolm, I should go. People are watching. Malcolm, wait. But he was already getting in his car. Rebecca stood there. Alone. Crying. I almost went to her. Almost. But something stopped me. The question she'd asked. Does she know? Know what? I didn't confront Rebecca right away. Instead, I did what any engineer would do. I gathered data. That night, back at the hotel, I waited until Rebecca fell asleep. Then I took her phone from the nightstand. She didn't have a passcode. Never had. What's the point, she'd always said. We don't keep secrets. Right. I scrolled through her messages. Nothing from Malcolm. Not a single text. But there was a number saved as M. No name. Just an initial. I opened the thread. The messages went back 3 years. 3 years. Most were innocuous. Meeting times. Brief check-ins. But then I found one from 6 months ago. M, I can't keep doing this. It's not fair to either of us. Rebecca, I know. But what choice do I have? M, you could tell him the truth. Rebecca, and destroy everything? No. M, then we end this. For good. Rebecca, please don't say that. You're all I have left of him. Him. Not you. Him. My hands shook as I scrolled further. Another message. 2 months ago. M, he's getting worse. The doctors say maybe 6 weeks. Rebecca, I need to see you. M, come to the house. Patricia won't be there. And then, the most recent message. Sent 3 days after William died. M, are you okay? Rebecca, no. But I will be. Eventually. M, call me when you're ready to talk about next steps. Rebecca, not yet. David's suspicious. M, be careful. I took screenshots. Then I put the phone back exactly where I found it. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there staring at the ceiling, Rebecca breathing softly beside me. Next steps. What next steps? And why was I an obstacle? The flight back to Portland was silent. Rebecca stared out the window. I pretended to read. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom. Said she was exhausted. I went to my home office and opened my laptop. Malcolm Sterling. California. Let's see who you really are. LinkedIn showed he was CEO of Sterling Capital Management in San Francisco. Private equity. Venture capital. High net worth clients. His bio said he'd co-founded Harrison Manufacturing with William in 1985, sold his stake in 2005, moved to California. But the photos told a different story. There were dozens of them. Charity events. Golf tournaments. Industry conferences. And in almost every photo from before 2005, there was William. And there was Malcolm. And sometimes, there was Rebecca. Rebecca at age 8, holding Malcolm's hand at a company picnic. Rebecca at 13, standing between Malcolm and William at a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Rebecca at 16, in a photo from some gala, Malcolm's arm around her shoulder. I scrolled faster. More photos. Different years. Same pattern. Malcolm was always there. Not just a business partner. A family fixture. Then I found the news articles. From 2005. The year Malcolm sold his stake and moved to California. But the articles told a more complicated story. Harrison Manufacturing restructures after partner dispute. Sterling exits Midwest firm amid unnamed allegations. William Harrison buyout of partner raises questions. I clicked on the last one. Local business journal. Small circulation. The article was vague. Corporate speak about philosophical differences and pursuing other opportunities. But buried in the middle was this paragraph. Sources close to the company suggest the split was acrimonious, with Harrison paying an undisclosed sum significantly above market value to buy out Sterling's stake. One former employee, speaking on condition of anonymity, stated that the departure was sudden and involved personal matters unrelated to company performance. Personal matters. I was still reading when Rebecca came into my office. What are you doing? I closed the laptop. Research. On? Your father's company. Trying to understand why he'd give Malcolm controlling interest. Her face hardened. It's his money. His choice. I know. I'm just curious. Well, don't be. It's none of your business. That stung. Your father's estate is none of my business? The will is final, David. Whatever his reasons, they're his. And we need to respect that. She left the office. Conversation over. Again. But I couldn't let it go. The next morning, I called Gerald Fisher, the estate lawyer. Mr. Fiss. Cher, I have some questions about William's will. I'm afraid I can't discuss the details with you, Mr. Chen. You're not a named beneficiary. I'm Rebecca's husband. Which doesn't give you legal standing in this matter. What if I told you I think there's something wrong with the will? Pause. What do you mean by wrong? I mean I think William was coerced. Or manipulated. Into giving Malcolm Sterling such a large share. Another pause. Longer this time. Mr. Chen, I've been William Harrison's attorney for 30 years. I can assure you the will was executed with full knowledge and consent. If you have specific evidence of coercion, I suggest you speak to a different lawyer. Otherwise, I must ask you to respect the family's privacy during this difficult time. He hung up. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. Mr. Chen? This is Malcolm Sterling. My stomach dropped. How did you get my number? Rebecca gave it to me. We need to talk. I don't think we have anything to discuss. On the contrary, I think we have quite a lot to discuss. Can you meet me tomorrow? There's a coffee shop in Lake Oswego. Barista. 10 a.m. Why would I meet with you? Because you have questions. And I'm the only one who can answer them. He hung up before I could respond. I didn't tell Rebecca about the call. The next morning, I told her I had a work meeting. She barely looked up from her laptop. Okay. I'll be home late. Estate stuff. With Malcolm? Her fingers paused on the keyboard. No. With the accountant. Why? Just asking. The coffee shop was upscale. Exposed brick. Local art on the walls. Malcolm was already there when I arrived. Corner table. 2 cups of coffee waiting. Mr. Chen. Thank you for coming. Let's skip the pleasantries. What do you want? He gestured to the chair across from him. I sat. I want to explain, he said. Because Rebecca won't. And William can't. Explain what? Malcolm took a sip of coffee. Set it down carefully. Explain why William left me 40% of his company. And why you need to stop asking questions about it. That's not really an explanation. No. But what I'm about to tell you is. And after I do, you're going to have a choice to make. He leaned forward. You can accept what I tell you, go home, and never speak of this again. Or you can keep digging. And destroy your wife in the process. William and I started Harrison Manufacturing in 1985, Malcolm began. We were young. Ambitious. Stupid enough to think we could build something that mattered. He smiled at the memory. And we did. For 20 years, that company was our lives. William handled operations. I handled finance. We were partners. Real partners. Brothers, even. What changed? Life, Malcolm said simply. William met Patricia. They had kids. The company went from being his purpose to being his obligation. Something to pass down. And you? I never married. Never had children. The company was all I had. He took another sip of coffee. Around 2003, things got complicated. William started making decisions I didn't agree with. Risky investments. Expansion into markets we didn't understand. I pushed back. We fought. That's when you left? No. That's when everything fell apart. Malcolm's expression darkened. In 2004, Patricia found out William was having an affair. I blinked. Rebecca's father was cheating? For 3 years. With a woman named Claire. She worked in accounting. What happened? Patricia gave him an ultimatum. End it, or she'd divorce him and take half of everything. Including the company. So he ended it? He tried. Claire didn't take it well. She threatened to go public. Tell everyone. Destroy his reputation. Malcolm's jaw tightened. William panicked. Asked me to help. To make the problem go away. How? Money. A lot of it. I structured a payout. Called it a severance package. $2 million. All from the company accounts. That's why you left. No. That's not why I left. Malcolm looked me directly in the eyes. I left because Patricia found out about the payout. And she found out why it was made. And she blamed me. For what? For enabling William's affair. For helping him cover it up. For choosing him over the family. But William was your partner. And Rebecca was like a daughter to me. The way he said her name. Soft. Protective. Like a door I still wasn't allowed through. Patricia told William she wanted me out. Completely. Said if I stayed, she'd tell everyone the truth. About the affair. About the payout. About all of it. So William bought you out. For 3 times what my stake was worth. Enough money to disappear quietly. And you did. For 15 years. I moved to California. Built a new career. Stayed away from the Harrisons. Until? Malcolm's expression shifted. Until William got sick. And he called me. Why would he call you? Because he was dying. And he had something he needed to tell me. What? Malcolm finished his coffee. Set the cup down. That Rebecca wasn't his daughter. The world tilted. What? Rebecca is my daughter, Mr. Chen. Not William's. I couldn't breathe. That's not possible. Patricia and I had an affair, Malcolm said quietly. In 1987. Before William and I were partners. Patricia was engaged to William, but the wedding was still 6 months away. We were at a company retreat. Too much wine. Poor judgment. And she got pregnant. Yes. Patricia told William the baby was his. They got married. Had Rebecca. I never said anything. Neither did Patricia. How do you know Rebecca is yours? DNA test. William insisted on it after Patricia's ultimatum in 2004. He wanted proof of everything. The affair with Claire. My affair with Patricia. All of it. Malcolm pulled an envelope from his jacket. Slid it across the table. Inside was a lab report. Date stamped 2004. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. Malcolm Sterling and Rebecca Harrison. My hand shook. Does Rebecca know? No. William wanted it that way. He raised her as his own. Loved her as his own. And he wanted her to keep those memories. Then why tell me? Because William's will is forcing a conversation I never wanted to have. Rebecca is going to start asking questions about why her father left me controlling interest in the company. And eventually, she's going to figure it out. Or I could tell her. Malcolm's expression hardened. You could. But before you do, ask yourself this, what does she gain from knowing? Her father, the man who raised her, who loved her, has been dead for 2 weeks. Are you going to tell her that the last 9 years of her life were built on a lie? That every birthday card, every "I'm proud of you," every moment with William was complicated by a secret paternity? She deserves the truth. Does she? Or do you just want leverage? Leverage for what? Malcolm leaned back. Rebecca and I have been in contact for 3 years. Since William's diagnosis. He asked me to look after her. To make sure she was okay. To help with the estate. That's why you have 40%. William wanted you to have power. He wanted me to protect her. From Patricia. From James. From anyone who might try to take advantage. Including me? I don't know you, Mr. Chen. I don't know if you married Rebecca because you love her, or because you saw an opportunity. Anger flared. I've been with her for 9 years. I didn't know about any inheritance. But you know now. What's that supposed to mean? It means you have a choice. Accept William's will. Support your wife through this transition. And keep this secret. Or tell her the truth. Watch her world collapse. Destroy her relationship with her mother. And lose her anyway. He stood up. Think carefully, Mr. Chen. Because whatever you decide, there's no going back. I drove home in a daze. Rebecca's father wasn't her father. Malcolm Sterling was. And Rebecca had been in contact with him for 3 years. 3 years. While I had no idea. When I got home, Rebecca was in the kitchen. How was your meeting? Fine. Boring. She nodded. Didn't look up from her phone. Who are you texting? Just the estate accountant. We're trying to figure out the company shares. With Malcolm? Her fingers paused. Why do you keep bringing up Malcolm? Because he seems very involved for a family friend. He was Dad's business partner. And? She finally looked at me. And what, David? And why were you texting him 3 years ago about not being able to tell him the truth? Her face went white. You went through my phone. I'm your husband. We don't keep secrets. Remember? How dare you? How dare I? How dare you? You've been lying to me for 3 years. I haven't been lying about anything. Then tell me the truth. What's your relationship with Malcolm? Silence. Rebecca. Answer me. He's my father. The words hung in the air like smoke. What? Tears streamed down her face. Malcolm Sterling is my biological father. William found out in 2004. Confronted my mother. Confronted Malcolm. That's why Malcolm left. And when did you find out? 3 years ago. Dad told me. After the diagnosis. He said he wanted me to know before he died. That he wanted me to have a relationship with Malcolm. And you didn't think to tell me? How could I? You didn't know Malcolm. You didn't know the history. It would have just confused everything. Confused? Rebecca, this is your entire identity. My identity is that William Harrison was my father. The man who raised me. Who loved me. Who was there for every birthday, every graduation, every moment that mattered. But he wasn't your real father. Yes, he was. Biology doesn't make you a parent. Love does. She wiped her eyes. Malcolm gave me DNA. William gave me a life. There's a difference. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to rage about the lies, the secrets, the 3 years of deception. But looking at Rebecca, broken, grieving, trying to hold on to the only father she'd ever known, I couldn't. I'm sorry, I said quietly. She looked up, surprised. For what? For going through your phone. For not trusting you. For pushing when I should have waited. She collapsed into my arms. I'm sorry too. I should have told you. I was just so afraid. Of what? That you'd see me differently. That you'd think I was someone else. I held her tighter. You're still Rebecca. You're still my wife. Nothing changes that. But even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. Because everything had changed. Over the next few weeks, things seemed to settle. Rebecca and Malcolm worked on transitioning the company. James reluctantly accepted his reduced role. Patricia maintained her dignified silence. And I tried to be supportive. But something was off. Rebecca was distant again. Late-night phone calls. Hushed conversations. Trips to meet with the lawyers that took 6 hours. One night, I came home early and found her on the deck. Crying. Hey, what's wrong? She quickly wiped her eyes. Nothing. Just, missing Dad. William or Malcolm? It was meant as a gentle joke. She didn't laugh. Both, I guess. I sat next to her. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. We sat in silence for a while. Then Rebecca said something that made my blood run cold. David, have you ever thought about what your life would be like if we'd never met? What? No. Why would I think about that? I don't know. I've just been thinking lately about choices. About paths not taken. Are you having regrets? No. Not regrets exactly. Just wondering. Wondering what? She looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. If I made the right choice. That night, I couldn't sleep. Made the right choice. What did that mean? The right choice marrying me? Or the right choice staying married to me? The next morning, Rebecca left early for another estate meeting. I waited 30 minutes. Then I followed her. She didn't go to the lawyer's office. She went to a hotel downtown. The Nines. I watched from across the street as she walked through the lobby. 15 minutes later, Malcolm Sterling entered. They met in the lobby bar. Ordered coffee. Sat close. Too close. Malcolm said something. Rebecca laughed. A real laugh. The kind I hadn't heard in months. Then Malcolm reached across the table. And took her hand. I didn't confront them. I just watched. For 45 minutes, they talked. Held hands. At one point, Malcolm brushed hair from Rebecca's face. She let him. When they finally stood to leave, Malcolm pulled Rebecca into a hug. Long, intimate. More than a father comforting his daughter. Different. I drove home. Poured myself a drink. And called a divorce lawyer. That evening, Rebecca came home around 7. Hey, she said, kissing my cheek. Sorry I'm late. The meeting ran long. How was it? Exhausting. But productive. She kicked off her shoes. Started making dinner. Like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just spent the afternoon with another man. What did the lawyer say? She paused, knife hovering over the cutting board. Just estate stuff. Boring tax implications. And Malcolm? Was he there? No. Why? The lie came so easily. So smoothly. Like she'd practiced. Just curious. 2 days later, the divorce papers arrived. I served them to Rebecca over breakfast. She stared at them. Then at me. What is this? What does it look like? David, what are you doing? Ending this. Before it gets worse. Ending what? Our marriage? Over what? Over you having an affair with Malcolm Sterling. Her face went pale. That's not, I'm not. I followed you, Rebecca. To the hotel. I saw you together. Silence. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. She set down the papers. Folded her hands. Malcolm and I have been close. Yes. Since Dad died. He's been helping me process everything. By holding your hand in a hotel bar? He's my father, David. He's also a man you've been sneaking around with for weeks. I wasn't sneaking. You lied about where you were. Multiple times. That's sneaking. Tears filled her eyes. You don't understand. It's complicated. Then uncomplicated for me. She took a shaky breath. I love Malcolm. The words hit like a punch. What? Not like that. Not like you're thinking. But, I love him. He's my father. My real father. And for 30 years, I didn't know him. And now that I do, I'm trying to build a relationship with him before it's too late. By excluding me? By having something that's just mine. What about me? What about us? She looked at me with those sad eyes. The same sad eyes William used to have. I don't know if there's an us anymore, David. What does that mean? Rebecca stood up. Walked to the window. It means I've been lying to myself for a long time. About what I want. About who I am. About what makes me happy. And I don't make you happy. You make me comfortable. Which isn't the same thing. The honesty of it was devastating. So this is it? 9 years, and you're done. I'm not done, David. I'm just finally being honest. With you. And with myself. About what? She turned to face me. About the fact that I never should have married you. The divorce took 6 months. No fault. Equitable division of assets. We sold the house in Laurelhurst. Split the proceeds. I kept the 401k. She kept the inheritance from William. And Malcolm. I heard through mutual friends that Rebecca and Malcolm are still close. Not romantic. Just close. Father and daughter. Finally. I also heard that Patricia knows now. About everything. She and Rebecca barely speak. James hasn't spoken to Rebecca at all. The company is doing well. Malcolm runs it with Rebecca's input. She moved back to Wisconsin. Works remotely for a firm in Chicago. Dating someone new, apparently. Good for her. As for me? I'm still in Portland. New apartment in Pearl. Still at Intel. Different life. Same job. Some nights, I pour myself a bourbon and think about William Harrison. About the secret he kept for 30 years. About the lie he told his daughter every time he said, I love you. Was it really a lie? Or was it the most truthful thing he ever said? I don't know if Rebecca made the right choice. Leaving me. Choosing Malcolm. Building a new life. But I know this. We all inherit something from our parents. Money. Property. Secrets. Sometimes we inherit their mistakes. Sometimes we inherit their regrets. And sometimes, we inherit the weight of love that was never quite what it seemed. Rebecca inherited $5 million and a father she never knew. I inherited a divorce and a lesson about truth. That sometimes, the biggest lie isn't what people say. It's what they don't. Pause, 3 seconds of silence. So here's my question for you. Would you have stayed with Rebecca? Would you have accepted that your wife needed a relationship with her biological father, even if it meant losing her? Or would you have fought harder? Comment below. Tell me what you would have done. Because I read every single comment. And I want to know. If this story made you feel something, anger, sadness, confusion, anything, hit that subscribe button. I post stories like this every week. Stories about the secrets we keep. The lies we tell ourselves. And the moments that force us to choose between truth and comfort. You made it into someone else's worst day. That says something about you. So subscribe. Join this community. And let's figure out together what we'd do if the worst happened to us. Because it's not about judging David or Rebecca. It's about asking, what would I do? See you next week. Would you have stayed? Or would you have left? Comment below.